So I know when I first said this to you, this was going to be one of my two things. You were kind of like, well, it's not really linked to team.
Yeah.
And I argued that I think it was linked to team. And so what values are basically like your guiding principles that state how one within your organization would behave on a daily basis. Right. So they're really behaviors, and behaviors drive action, which drives results. So why values are so important in my opinion. Firstly, when I set up a business, every book that I read on how to run a business said you need to have values. And for like the first 7 years of running Coastal, I was like, nah, don't need that shit. Also didn't have a clue what values actually were. And I personally, I didn't have them. But, you know, we've told the story many times, but when we eventually got to a point where we had our 6 values, which are now the Coastal 6, almost the day after stating what those values were, running a business became infinitely easier. I suddenly had like spoken guiding principles that I needed my team to embody if they wanted to be here. I got a cough, hang on. Excuse me, that is a 24.2 cross to open cough.
Is it?
I think so. I've got another cough coming.
Okay, I just need to check it.
So, excuse me, guys.
Sorry,
Water fixed the problem. Yeah, so the problem was when we didn't have values, we always had these gut feelings as to why a certain member of staff was great and why a certain member of staff wasn't. Like, you just knew, okay, why do I want this person here? Why do I not want this person here? But you can never really put your finger on what the good person was doing right and what the bad person was doing wrong. And so,
okay, let's not use the word bad.
Bad's not right. The person, it just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? So the thing is, as soon as you have those values, it becomes super clear, right? It becomes super clear the people who are on board and in alignment, and it becomes super clear the people who are not in alignment.
Yeah.
And what the knock-on effect of that becomes, the things that became infinitely easier once we had values was, number one, rewarding good performance. Like, it became much easier to tell someone when they're doing something good, and everyone wants to be told when they're doing something good. And I'm not talking about just doing your job. I'm talking about the way that you go about doing your job. You know, the things that make you the person that you are. It made it a lot easier to be able to spot when people were doing things wrong and basically have reasons why. It made it a lot easier to know who to look for when hiring new staff. And it made it a lot easier to know when it was time to let go of a staff. And I would probably say that the last two there, the hiring and firing a staff, are probably the two things I think most gyms struggle with. And I would say that I'd actually say that every single affiliate that has joined our affiliate program has, when they've joined, had at least one member of staff who deep down they knew was not the right person for their organization. There was either just a lot of resistance to that person, or there was tension within the team, or there's a gut feeling they just weren't the right person for the organization, but they were never able to put their finger on why that was. And so what happened with these people would exist within these organizations for years past their sell-by date, until finally the organization made the decision to part ways with them, or that person would choose to part ways themselves. And so the problem with that in an organization that's chasing performance and trying to improve themselves is that when you have that one person who is not in alignment with the rest of the team, you're just never going to crush it as a team. You know, that one bit of bad energy could be so detrimental on the performance of a whole team. And I could talk about this for a long, long time, but it's not only the fact that you have one person who's not pulling their weight, it's also the fact that you have the rest of the team can see that this one team member isn't right, but nothing's being done about it. And so it creates a double standard, right? It means that, oh, well, if so-and-so can get away with poor performance, so can I, and there's not going to be repercussions. And again, I can speak about this very much from the heart, because I would say that it's probably been one of the hardest things for me, and even still to this date, is making sure that the people we bring in the organization are the right people for the right reasons. And, you know, it's such a hard thing to get right, because to really get to the essence of who someone is, you can't do it over an interview. You can't even do over 2 interviews or 3. Like, it's something that you got to be able to, you got to experience like that person in their highest of highs and their lowest of lows. And sometimes you just need time to see that. And then the second part to that is knowing when to part ways with someone. I've had this belief that I can change everyone. And if someone's not right, I give them a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, too many times. And I never really know when the cutoff time is right. But really, all I can say now is about having these values. It makes those decisions so much easier. I'm gonna hand this over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that was something that was implemented during my time here. So it was something new that we've also encouraged other people to do because we've seen the benefits of it. I think, speaking for myself, and I know yourself as well, before we implemented a corporate value system, we had our own values and things that we believed in the ways that we had the people close to us, or the relationships that we met, or the standards that we held ourselves to. And so it was just then implementing your personal beliefs into your business, right? And exactly like what you said, it's hard. I think it's very easy, and a lot of companies do have it now, being like, these are our values, this is what we believe in. But the practice is way harder than the theory, because you're working with people, and people are relationships. And because this side of us is not corporate, where we're very much like a revolving door of, okay, well, if you go, we have 500 people waiting for us, or if you go, the show still goes on, or if you go, we don't actually care. Like, that's been the very difficult side for us. And even if we say that we're at peace with it because they weren't aligned with our values, it's still hard. Right. Yeah. And I'd want to make sure that people know that it's not the answer to all questions, but it is the lighthouse. It is a guiding light to help you in times that are challenging, or in times that are dark, or in times where you want to follow your gut feeling or your brain, but your heart's kind of pulling at your heartstrings, right? It's then you have something to go back to, which I think in everything in life is important. Otherwise, you will just be swayed left and right.